Hey everybody, it's Carlos from Immortals Podcast today, and I have two people with me today. I have Mikey, as always.
I'm here.
And then I have my beautiful wife, Diana.
My grandmother.
I'm here.
All three
Been
of us.
a while, but I'm here. I'm back.
Today, we're going to talk about, because we all went to see, actually Diana went and I saw it for a second time. We took Mikey and Josh to see the Dungeons & Dragons movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
This isn't a no instruction book podcast, guys, by the way. This
No,
is
no.
a full on.
this is
First time podcast though, right?
Yeah, first time
this
non.
is the full of, like I did one before and it was just a general, you should go see it, it's good. Now this is going to be full of spoilers, I'm sure, babe.
This is going to be full of spoilers because this is something that I seen your podcast and it was a great podcast, but Mikey wasn't. I felt I have to grab my grandson and we have to go see this movie.
Yeah.
So we did that one.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
And they wouldn't have thought that I would have went and seen it. You didn't think I was going to go see it. You were like, nope,
No,
you're not going to go see
can't
it.
even get you to read a book.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm still right where I'm at, chapter 4.
I knew my grandson though. I knew you would go see it.
I know.
And
I did. I
we
enjoyed
grabbed Josh. Josh went and seen it with us because
Mm-hmm.
he's a big fan of D&D.
Nerd.
it. Big movie critic, too.
Big movie critic, but he loved it. I'll just say that right now. He loved every
I
bit
have
of
his
it.
official rating. I asked him, what do you rate it out of 10? So he gave it a 7, which is big for him.
Oh, it is big, but he had to knock it down.
That's
He had to
big
bring
for
it to
him.
that 7.
A 7 to him is like a 9, 8-ish.
For normal
I mean, I give
people.
it a 10. I
Yes,
loved it.
I gave it a-
seen it twice. I've never seen a movie twice in a movie theater, I don't think, ever.
I don't
And-
think I probably maybe when I was younger in the 80s,
Yeah,
but not.
I wanted to go see it again, and I grabbed Mikey and Carlos, and we all went and seen it, and so
So what was your favorite part?
Um,
What made you like it? What did it feel like Dungeons & Dragons?
it felt like Dungeons and Dragons, and just because I could relate to it so much being in the store all the time, I related to people see movies like this and then they want to play D&D, and then they wonder, is D&D like this?
Yeah.
Well, yes, D&D is like this movie. It is so much like this movie. We sit around at a table and we play D&D. We're all one of these characters, and we laugh just as hard as these characters do and act just as silly as these characters do during the movie.
Like I said, it was like D&D. It's like when you felt like you're playing because they would just do dumb things. It would just be like, oh, this is a serious problem, and then just a dumb solution, or just do dumb things to resolve the problem.
Yeah. That,
Well, and then I like the way the character like Holga, for one, she was what was she, a barbarian?
Mm-hmm.
But she was she would believe anything.
yeah.
She was like, really? Oh, that okay.
Love
It's
potatoes. Raw potato. Were they raw or were they cooked? I don't know.
I don't
They
know.
never said.
She was just eating them all the time.
I mean, yeah. And spoiler alert: when she threw it off that dude's face,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was raw or not, but that'd have hurt. It would hurt regardless.
I think that was definitely a raw potato, and it smashed wide open on that dude's head.
yeah.
She's a barbarian.
Yeah,
She
and
got a good throw.
I like the movie because I thought they were gonna take the approach of somebody being like a third person, like somebody actually playing as a dungeon master, and then it delves into the story itself. They're like, this is Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't even do that at all. That's what I liked about it.
Right,
It wasn't like that.
And the thing about D&D is when you play, a lot of people, they do see these movies, and in our social media, the most number one question everybody asks all the time is oh, I want to start playing, but I don't know how to start playing. I'm scared to start playing. Where do I begin? How do I begin? I'm nervous. I've never done this before. And you don't have to do anything as a player. It's the DMs that do everything.
Yeah. Poor
They-
guys.
They have to eat, sleep, and shit.
I'm keeping that in there.
D&D, right?
Yeah.
They do, because you did you're a DM, and when you're on your spare time, that's what you're doing. And some of these guys, they do run a couple sessions and games, and
You're a storyteller. You're coming up with a story, or
Yeah.
you're taking a story that somebody wrote, and it's just work. It's a lot of work.
and then it's hard on you too, because you don't know which way the player's going to go.
Oh, yeah, you
because
never know.
me as a player, I don't have to do nothing but show up and be my player.
So,
Yeah.
like,
And be my character and act it out the best I can and have fun with my friends.
so,
But you have to sit here and oh, I hope she's going to say this, or I hope she does that. What if she does that?
like you asked, how many Mikey was asking before this, how many sessions was that movie? How many sessions, or what was even you asked, what was the main objective, or what was the main adventure there? It's if you think about it, everything they did different, that was a good question. Everything they did different could be considered an adventure. Like them going to them breaking out, them
the
making
way
their
they broke out.
Yeah, the way they broke out, the making it there, finding the other the adventurers that encounter the adventure was, when they when you first saw the bugbear,
Yeah.
or the owlbear.
The owlbear was the best. The owlbear, boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
When you first saw the owlbear, that's an adventure. That's a session. Then there's another session. Then there's a session. Everything's a session. And then even at the end when they were, totally this is all spoilers. Even at the end when they were leaving, them turning around to go back.
Yeah.
It's another session. Like that would be a cliffhanger for a session. Like,
Okay, so it makes
I'm
sense.
going away on the boat, and then all of a sudden you turn around and the DM tells you, "Oh, this is what you see," and you're like, next week.
So
And
it's like
that's just how it is when we're playing too. Because he was like, what was he like? What did he say? He's like he was like, oh my God, and just like turned the boat around.
Yeah,
he's
but-
like, oh, I gotta do this for the guy he promised it to. Remember, he told him earlier in that story that, and what was it? That was the paladin, right? That was who
he was gorgeous.
He was hilarious to
He
me.
was
I mean,
gorgeous.
dude was like in human AI. Like, couldn't even tell him anything.
That is
It's
how
like joking with Carlos.
That's the only character. But yeah.
And the paladin.
But that's the only character I ever play is that kind of character as a paladin. I understand
That's
that
you.
character.
That was
yeah.
you.
Yeah, and Josh brought it to my attention too. Like with the paladin is like everything was he took it to heart. Everything you said was
Literal.
literal. It was
Yeah.
literal.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
I
got it
was
right
like,
up my
oh yeah, it
sleeve.
was. Because there's things like that. That you didn't. The maze was amazing. I loved the maze when they were in that maze, and
Yeah,
that would be
things
another.
were going
That's a
up
whole
and
nother.
down.
You get to
adventure.
see the displacer kitten. Spoiler.
And the reason why are those like different adventures is because it just takes so long to get through. You can
Well, it's
make
a
it
session.
space out that
Yeah, it's
long
a
as
session.
it's a session.
Like this session is here, because it's 4 hours, and you come in, you play your D&D, you sit down, you eat your food, you argue about what you're going to order, where you're going to order from, and then you argue about who's sitting where, and then once you start to play, then you have rules and everything. So like one little scene of that movie could be a session because you have to get through it, and it's not saying it's hard or anything, but I was just making jokes about arguing, but yeah, it's just, it takes time. So it's like you couldn't do that whole adventure in one sitting,
Right.
You break them up and it makes the time go on,
Because
like,
running through that maze can literally take forever. Because we've been through some mazes.
oh yeah, that would be like
know.
that would be a very labor intensive tabletop kind of thing, that maze. That would be it. A lot of the other stuff, like when he was attuning the helmet
that was
to him,
really
like
cool
when he was
too.
attuning the magic item, that would be a session that was mostly role playing. They were having their conflict among themselves about what to do and how to make the plan and try to get this done, and that in itself could be a whole session, of just talking.
And when he
And,
was like when he said attune, so on your player character sheet, you can only have like 2 items that you can attune to at one time. So say you find a better item, well, you got to get rid of one of the other ones. So that's how you use it when you play D&D.
Was that why? Forgot
So-
Chris Pine's actor. Was that why he was always or character? But is that why he was always like hold this? Was he like hold this, or hold this, or was he just that was just funny?
Oh,
I
I
think
don't
it was
know.
just funny, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe now you say that, it was
Yeah.
weird.
Oh, maybe.
And it's crazy
maybe.
because
I
somebody,
see little
you know-
stuff like that you pick up.
Yeah, and you guys know I don't play D&D, but after watching that movie, even the map, like when they laid out the map and showed the map of where they were up in what, Icewind Dale? Is that where they were?
Mhm.
And you got to see all these maps, and then you get a clear understanding of, okay, these are the campaign books, and these are what they mean. So each campaign book is like its own region of the map.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, it helps. See, it gave you a better
yeah,
understanding.
'cause now I know.
You
I'm
know,
powerful.
and it gave me a better understanding. You're always powerful, but like I've been playing. I'm not like I'm still very much a beginner player. I don't like. There's, but I found a lot of things like I could relate to like that too. Just even being in the store, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Carlos got that in, and I put it on the shelf, and it brought a lot of that back, to me too. With the store, so it did relate a lot to the two items that we have in the store.
Yeah.
And there were no push narratives, like you said. It was a great movie. No push narratives on anybody. It was just straight to the point. Like you said, you go in the theater, and the adventure starts right from the beginning.
Yeah.
As soon as you get in the theater, 2 hours and 30 minutes. I was
And it was
Yeah.
all good. And then
It was good.
it truly, like I said, it did. And everything was D&D related. It wasn't like some kind of mixture or some kind of half, they did it half-ass for lack of a better word. But yeah, they did all that and really good. Like, I want to go back to, before I forget, the potato in the face.
yeah.
That is a perfect example of what playing D&D with people is.
Yeah, well, you could
because
do.
here is this traumatic moment. A small child is being held at knife point, and this guy's going to make the speech, and at that point you should just pick up, all right, we got to have a plan, and then all of a sudden one of your player characters just picks up a potato and whips it. That is
happens.
A perfect, because
Josh was really good for that.
Yeah,
he was
so,
really good for that.
What are you guys going to do?
Randomly
Just run in the room,
something.
the Leroy Jenkins and there's always one person that does that, because you always have somebody who has this master plan, and then somebody just throws a potato, so
Yeah.
and that is kind of like playing D&D, and it's what it's like,
Full autonomy of your actions.
Because it's not like, it's just fun. You don't have to wait for the narrative or somebody to finish a speech, and it's actively playing a character where everybody has their own thing, and that movie gave it away pretty good.
And the movie starts with them in the prison because of a failed attempt previously. But in D&D, are you in that prison at all? Like, do you see that prison at all?
Every D&D adventure starts in a tavern. So he did meet Holga. Edgar was his name, or Chris. He met Holga in the tavern.
Yeah, so
with his baby.
See, there was a lot of tavern there.
And he's a bard, right?
And that's the yawning portal kind of thing, right? Yeah. And so it was like things like that were. And then the maze, and what about the gelatinous cube? And
all that good stuff. It's like very. Remember how we did that other. We did that review of the Lost City.
Yeah,
where you start in the desert.
Yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of starting points, but you could there's a classic series where you end up starting off as a slave, you were in another one's in a prison, and it depends on where a good starting point is, so, and sometimes it's the easiest one is just you're at a tavern. Hey, I'm an adventurer, I want to go to a tavern, I'm going to find some people. That is like the easiest cliche.
The DM makes that, right? Where you start it. Okay.
The DM just kind of makes the frame for it, and then the player characters fill it in, basically.
But the books kind of give the DM too
a lot of ideas.
The idea of.
And speaking of artifacts, didn't you bring something today?
I did bring something today because Josh said when I was talking to him that in the maze when they were all in that cage, that was
spoiler.
That was from
one of the other adventuring parties. Because when I first saw him, I'm like, man, why does that look familiar? And then when I saw him again, I'm like, oh my God, it's.
Yeah. They were running around in this maze, and then they came upon a whole party that was captured in a cage. And so I was just like, oh, well, they were going to jump in there, but they didn't. And then I was just like, oh, nothing to me.
She didn't
But
think
then
nothing.
Josh, when I talked to him, he's like, oh, yeah, that was the whole cast from the first
Dungeons
1984 or 85
cartoon
series.
I'm like, oh my God, there it is.
And I'm like, how would you know that? And it's like they were dressed the way they were dressed. They were all dressed like that. So I was telling Carlos about it today. And then all of a sudden, Carlos walks over to the TV and pulls this out.
Ooh.
So
that's the original copy too, right?
No.
That's my husband. He has everything.
Looks dusty.
We're gonna go watch this tonight, and then I'll let you have it.
Yeah, pass it to me so that I can do the first 2 episodes and never touch it again.
Well, Emilio might like watching that with you.
Well, you know me. With the Hobbit book, I'm slow
this is a
marathon.
Cartoon. If you can't handle a 20-minute Saturday morning cartoon,
I can't handle 1 page of words.
I might be with you, Mikey. I might go home and be like, I just can't get into it.
Honestly,
might be able to watch 1 or 2 episodes and be done.
Yeah, but all put aside, I would watch this movie again. I would watch the D&D movie again.
Yeah,
I mean, I was
great.
I was like concerned. I'm like 2 hours and 30 minutes. There's no way I'm gonna be hooked the whole time, and I was. You're right.
I was hoping to get everybody down there. That's because half the people don't play D&D here. All the other workers, and it's like
half of us don't play much of anything here. We just work.
Yeah, we just work.
It's a lot of work running Immortals Inc.
Get back to work.
Yeah, basically plays in your dreams over and over again.
I think my favorite part of the movie was the gelatinous cube, and I loved that how they went inside of it, and then she turned into a snake to get out.
I feel like definitely their skin might have been burnt off a little bit. She said a few seconds. It was like 15 seconds.
It was longer than a few seconds. But in the owlbear, I just loved the owlbear.
That was my favorite part.
He was great.
Complete destruction.
She was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a pretty good representation of it.
And this was a complete spoiler review.
Yeah. It definitely was. It definitely is. But because you know me, I can't hold back. I just da.
They did a really good job showing a druid and a bard and the barbarian.
They did, yeah.
And and
Paladin.
The Paladin. Oh, the Paladin was spot on. The Paladin
That was my
guy
favorite.
He was beautiful.
spot on.
My
He was
favorite
just
character.
beautiful.
I would have to say my favorite part was the and I can't remember the dragon's name.
Oh, that dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you said that's a real dragon, though.
I think it's a real dragon. I got to look it up.
If you guys
my
know
God,
the
it's
insanely
if you know-
pudgy dragon.
Yeah, it's
never seen a pudgy dragon like that.
And he tripped over that chain.
When he was just
And
rolling.
just kept rolling.
Yeah, he was just rolling. I was like, that's the perfect depiction, if you ask me. I mean, I
But
never.
see, I mean, that was cool though that they made that instead of making it the big scary dragon.
No, yeah, I've never seen a
And then
fat
he was
dragon.
trying to blow fire, and that was broken.
And they
like
did-
he was
they
just
did something
broken
really cool with that.
everywhere.
So like
But they were still scared. Everybody was still scared.
Oh yeah, I'd be
you
scared
know,
of that
you know?
too. I mean, what are you gonna do?
I believe that's scarier than a regular dragon.
But just the
I don't know.
funny.
I feel like I could have turned around and started petting him. I felt sorry for him.
But even that, like even that part, is like it's funny because that's an adventure. You're like, what am I doing with this? Like, why are we
Yeah.
running from this? But at the same time, and then at that one point where like he almost gets caught, and the paladin just does all paladin-y and jumps up and stabs him in the face, and then you're like, yeah, it's just over the top, epic, stupid.
It was
thing.
beautiful. It was a beautiful move, and
Yes.
landing perfect. And then he held his hand out to help him.
But
It was
that's
great.
that is I still say that's like an essence of playing D&D. Just stupid fun, you know.
Yeah.
You're obviously, like I said in the other one, you're not getting any. There's no Academy Awards here or anything like that, but it's good fun.
So
for
yeah,
what it is.
These- I
Anybody
feel-
can watch it. You know, even Mikey knows nothing, goes and see it. I think
and you end up
everybody's-
knowing more after.
Yeah.
Just with Stranger Things coming out and movies like this really is bringing D&D back to the table, players back to the table,
It
and new
has.
players to the table. So if you're afraid and you're new and you're thinking you can't do it, you can definitely do it. It's fun. It's there's nothing to it but coming and going on an adventure, having fun.
Go see it.
If you like what you hear and want to hear more, hey, like, subscribe, share, give us a good talk in the comments too. We like that.
All right, guys.
All right.
Peace.
All right, later.